Today I'm going to show you everything you need to know to start confidently using TradingView. And this will be useful both for beginners who have just heard about TradingView and for experienced users too. You'll be shocked you didn't know some of the tricks that I'm going to tell you about. And all features that we will cover will be available in the free version. Here's how our quick training will be structured. First, I'll cover the general interface, things like color theme, chart layouts, and basic functions. Then we'll take a detailed look at all the features and ways to customize them. After that, I'll show you how to create an organized workflow for trading. Along the way, I'll also share some useful tips and tricks that aren't obvious at first glance. And at the end, there's a nice bonus waiting for you. I'll show you how to practice your trading strategies right in the platform interface using the demo trading feature. Main sections. Alright, let's go. In the description, I left a link to the official TradingView website. It's all standard. Register, and for now, the free version will be enough. When you open TradingView and log into your account, you'll see the home page. In the top right corner, you can choose a language that's convenient for you. I'll be showing everything in English though. And let's take a look at the main sections. Supercharts. This is where we'll spend most of our time, as this tab is for working with charts. Screeners. Here you can find various trading pairs and financial instruments by specified criteria. Calendars, an economic calendar showing important economic events. Newsflow. Here you can view current news that affect the market in one way or another. Portfolios, a section for creating and tracking your portfolio. Indices, stocks, crypto, futures, forex, all of this is available through the platform, and with this video guide, you'll be able to work with any market. But if you haven't mastered the world of cryptocurrencies yet, start with simple and short videos on my channel. There you will get all the knowledge you need and earn your first $500 in cryptocurrency. But let's get back to TradingView and open supercharts. This is our base for further work. Interface overview. After launching, you'll see a standard chart. Before customizing it, let's get familiar with the interface. On the left, there's a vertical panel. This is a set of tools for drawing and marking up the chart. Here you can add graphic objects, trend lines, shapes, notes, and so on. For example, if you click on the trend line icon and then click on the chart, you can draw a trend line on the chart. All similar tools are located on this panel. Above the chart is the main menu and toolbar related to the chart. In the top left corner is the home page icon. Clicking home will take you back to that page with sections we started with. Next to it is the search field. By clicking on it, you can enter tickers or names of stocks, currency pairs, or crypto. By the way, you don't need to click on the field, just start typing on your keyboard when the chart window is active. For example, to open Apple's stock chart, start typing AAPL right on the chart and the system will automatically open the search window. A bit to the right is a block with chart display parameters, timeframes, time intervals for each candle, chart type, indicators, alert creation, and the market simulation function, which is called replay. Even further to the right, you can see information about the current workspace and chart layout. And to the right of the chart itself, you will see a narrow vertical panel with several tabs. This tab contains the watch list. Here you can save and view tickers you want to track. At the end, we will look at how to organize it for your tasks. This panel also displays details about the selected asset, for example, the last price and price change. Here, your created trading alerts are displayed. Alerts can be set up by various conditions. For example, price crossing a certain level. In this panel, you'll see the list of active triggers. Also, in the right menu, there is an icon that looks like layers, opening a list of all drawn objects on the chart. When you add any elements to the chart, they appear in this list. There, you can quickly hide or delete individual elements. Right now, if you draw something like a trend line, it will appear in the object list. Through it, you can easily manage all drawings on the chart. The remaining tab is Chats. These are ideas and comments from TradingView users. This feature is meant for idea sharing between traders, but it's not really used by most users. At the very bottom of the right panel, there are additional tabs with various information. For example, the same screeners, calendars, and so on. The exact configuration depends on your settings. And finally, at the bottom of the chart window, there's a horizontal panel with an additional tool. This tab allows you to trade directly from the TradingView chart. If you connect a supported broker, an interface for opening trades, viewing open positions and orders directly on the chart will appear here. As you can see, the interface is quite rich with different elements. Don't worry, we'll gradually figure out each section. Quick tip: if you have found a drawing tool that you use often, you can click on the star next to its name in the drop-down menu. A panel will appear on the chart that can be moved around on the screen. Star all the things that you use frequently. This will allow you to quickly switch between them without searching through menus. Chart appearance setup. Now our next step is to customize the main chart view to your liking. TradingView allows you to flexibly change the visuals so it's as comfortable as possible for you. First, let's see how you can change the data display type. By default, I have Japanese candlesticks selected. This is the most common way. You can choose another option, line chart, area chart, or even bars. To do this, click on the drop-down menu with the chart type and select the style you want, whichever option you prefer. If you want to understand why Japanese candlesticks provide much more information, watch this video. There I showed in detail with examples. All the basics of working with charts are there too. Now let's move on to chart settings. Right-click directly on the chart area and select Settings. Let's look at the main parameters. In the symbol section, you can customize colors for bullish and bearish candles. By default, green usually means growth, closing price above opening. Red means decline, closing price below opening. You can set your own colors for the candle body, its border, and wick. Personally, I prefer a unified color scheme. I make all parts of an ascending candle green and all parts of a descending candle red. This makes the chart look cleaner. Now go to the canvas section. Here you can configure the chart canvas, background color, grid style, axes, and other visual elements. I recommend choosing a neutral background. I like the light theme, so my background is white. You can, of course, make the background any color you want, blue, black, whatever, but I prefer minimalism. You can either completely disable the grid on the chart or make it almost invisible. I set the transparency to about 2 to 3%, then the lines are barely visible. The grid is sometimes useful for orientation, but if it's bright, it's very distracting. At 2% transparency, you'll only see the grid if you look closely. Notice how the cursor is displayed on the chart. By default, when you hover your mouse, you see a crosshair. You can choose another option, a dot or an arrow. I prefer crosshairs because they allow you to precisely correlate position on the price and time axes. There's also a demonstration mode here. It highlights the cursor position, which is useful when recording videos or webinars. You can also customize the color and style of the crosshair lines. For example, make the crosshair brighter or change the line thickness. And now, a very important point, chart margins from edges. In the margins section, you can set top and bottom padding for the price scale and right padding for the time scale. By default, TradingView might give a small margin, but I recommend setting it yourself. I set about 20% margin top and bottom. This means there will be 20% of the diagram height as space between the extreme points of the chart and the window edge. When the chart reaches new highs or lows, a small margin gives air. You see space and perceive movement more easily than when a candle is pressed right against the window edge. I also make the right margin quite wide, at least 20 bars, to have room for future movement, so the current price isn't pressed right against the right edge, but steps back a bit, leaving room where I can make notes about future movement. You can also dynamically change the chart scale. If you click and hold the left button on the price on the right and move the mouse up or down, you'll compress or stretch the price scale. And if you click on the time scale at the bottom and drag, you'll compress or stretch the time axis. If you have distorted the scale and want to quickly return to standard proportions, just double-click on the price scale, or time scale if you want to reset the horizontal scale. Double-clicking on axis resets the scale to its initial state, and you don't need to try to manually return to scale. Double-click will return everything to base instantly. There are also options in the settings that allow you to display certain events on the chart. In the Trading tab, you can enable display of your trades directly on the chart. This is useful if you trade through TradingView. And in the Events tab, display of important events at the bottom of the chart. For example, you can enable showing dividends, splits, earning reports for stocks, as well as significant news. These events will be marked with small markers along the time scale at the bottom of the chart. If they interfere, you can always disable them. After you have customized the chart to your liking, background, candle colors, grid, margins, and so on, you can save these settings as a template. In the settings window at the bottom left, there is a Save As button. Click it, enter a name, for example, Trading, and save. When you need to apply this style to another chart or restore settings, you can always open the settings menu and select your saved template. Now that we have set up the chart's appearance, let's move on to the next important aspect, timeframes. That is, the time intervals at which we view the chart. Time frame selection. Notice the top panel above the chart. There's currently a time interval selected for displaying candles. By default, D, 1 day, is set. This means that each candle on the chart shows the price change for one trading day. By default, the chart opens on the daily time frame. You can easily switch between time frames. For example, select 4 hours. Now each candle shows a 4-hour interval. See, the chart became more detailed, with more candles on the same piece of history. Switch to 1 hour, 30 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 minute. As the time frame decreases, you see a more detailed price movement. For active day trading, traders often use the 1-minute chart to see price movements practically in real time. To quickly switch between the intervals you need, open the time frame drop-down menu and star the intervals you use most often. Starred time frames will appear directly on the top panel as separate buttons for quick access. There is another way to switch time frames. Just type a number on your keyboard. For example, press 3 and then enter. The chart will switch to a 3-minute interval. Likewise, 5 plus enter will give a 5-minute chart. 15 plus enter a 15-minute chart. This works for minute intervals. For hours, you can type, for example, 1H or 4H. And I want to point out, by the way, that in this video we're only covering TradingView and analysis tools. But without practice, all this is pointless. And I want to stress this right away. Try only with small amounts and with support from experienced people. But let's get back to TradingView. We have already figured out the interface and basic settings. Now let's move on to the most interesting part, analysis tools that you can use on the chart. Drawing panel and graphic analysis tools. As we already mentioned, on the left is the Drawing Tools panel. What categories of tools are there? The first group includes trend lines, rays, parallel channels, and other trend analysis tools. The second group is dedicated to Fibonacci retracements and extensions, as well as other things that sound very scary for beginners. The third group is tools for drawing patterns. Here you'll find, for example, Elliott waves, ABC patterns, head and shoulders, and so on. The fourth group, tools for position calculation. These are long position and short position, as well as forecast calculations. These tools help visually represent trade entry, stop loss, and take profit on the chart and calculate the risk to reward ratio. Next come free drawing tools, brush for arbitrary marks, arrows, lines with arrows, rectangles, ellipses, triangles, arcs, and paths. A separate button for adding text annotations to the chart, as well as callouts, footnotes, and price labels. And a separate button for emojis. The ruler icon, a measuring tool. If you select it, you can click at one point on the chart and drag it to another point to measure the percentage change, number of bars, and price difference between these 2 points. This is very convenient for quickly assessing how much an asset rose or fell over a certain period, or how many bars passed between 2 events. There is a faster way to call up the ruler. Hold down the Shift key, then click and drag across the chart. The zoom in function allows you to see a specific section of the chart in detail. The magnet tool. It has 2 modes, a strong and a weak one. When the magnet is on, all points where you place the start or end of a line or shape will automatically snap to the nearest high or low points of candles. For example, when drawing a line, the cursor will stick by itself if it's nearby. Personally, I don't use the magnet. I prefer to place lines manually. But some people like this feature to be sure that the line is exactly on the maximum or minimum. Keep drawing, a feature that allows you to draw multiple objects in a row without switching back to the cursor. Next buttons are the lock and eye. The lock allows you to lock all drawn objects so you don't accidentally move or change them when moving your mouse. And the eye icon allows you to hide or show all drawings at once. If you have lots of lines and markup applied and want to temporarily remove them from view, click on the eye icon and the chart will clear. The objects themselves won't be deleted, they just won't be displayed. Click again and everything returns. You can also hide individual elements. Sync drawings is a feature that displays all your drawn objects on multiple charts at the same time. First, off the drawing is visible only on one specific chart. Second, sync in layout. The drawing appears on all charts with the same symbol within the current layout. Third, sync globally. The drawing appears on all charts with the same symbol in all your layouts, available on paid plans. And the last icon allows you to delete objects from the chart. Next, I'll tell you about the most important tools from this panel that I use almost daily: trend line and parallel channel. The trend line is probably the most frequently used tool in technical analysis. When I'm preparing for a trade, I always pay attention to how the trend is moving, where price makes lows and highs. The trend line helps visually highlight this direction. To draw one, select the Trend Line tool on the left panel. Then click on the chart at the point that, in your opinion, serves as the start of the trend and draw the line to another significant point. Using trend lines, I try to find levels from which price bounces several times. If the price touched the sloping line several times and couldn't break through it, then when approaching it again, a bounce may follow again. When price breaks through a trend line, it may indicate that the previous trend has exhausted itself, and this is often accompanied by strong price movement. I use such movements to find trade entry points. Trend lines help manage risk. It's clear where it makes more sense to place a stop line, beyond the line if it's broken. And profit potential can be estimated by the distance to the next significant level. Most professional traders have clean and minimalist charts. Often they only have trend lines drawn and perhaps some horizontal levels because these basic things work best. Besides single lines, TradingView allows you to draw parallel channels. The tool is called just that. You would need it to immediately draw 2 parallel lines, the upper and lower boundaries of the trend channel. How to use it? First, select it on the panel. Second, click on the chart at a point on one high. Third, place the second point on another high the same way you would draw a regular trend line along the tops. Fourth, after the second click, don't release immediately, but drag the cursor down or up. You'll get a second line perfectly parallel to the first. Use this second line to outline the opposite side of the channel. Then click again to lock the channel. As a result, you get 2 parallel lines between which price travels. If price is moving up, constantly touching roughly the same slanted support and the same slanted resistance, the parallel channel will outline these boundaries. The channel immediately gives you the full corridor of price movement. You can see where the price bounces off the lower boundary and where it slows down at the upper boundary. It is convenient to trade in such a channel, buy at support and sell at resistance. These two tools are the basic pillars of trend analysis. When you draw a line or any other object, a small floating settings menu will appear nearby. You can change the line color, make it thicker or thinner, choose the style, solid or dashed. In the Coordinates and Visibility tabs, you can precisely specify coordinates or timeframes on which the line is visible. In the Style tab, there are useful options. For example, Extend, that is, extend the line right or left to the edge of the screen. Convenient if you want the line to automatically stretch further until the trend breaks. You can save templates for styled lines. To do this, set up the line as needed, then click Save As and give it a name. In the future, by selecting any line and choosing the template icon from the menu, you can instantly apply the saved style. Horizontal and vertical lines. Besides the angled trend lines, horizontal lines are often used. They mark significant levels where price has already reacted. The tool is called Horizontal Line. Using it is simple. Select it on the panel and click on the chart where you want to draw the level. The line will stretch horizontally across the entire chart at that price level. Similarly, there is a Vertical Line tool. It draws a vertical line through the entire chart area at the selected moment in time. Horizontal lines are convenient for marking historical highs and lows and support and resistance levels. Vertical lines can mark important time points. For example, the start of a trading session, some news, or just to divide the chart into intervals. Like trend lines, horizontal or vertical levels can also be customized by color, thickness, or template. I made presets for myself. Green marks entry or buy levels, red marks stop loss levels, blue marks take profit levels. Then, looking at the chart, I immediately understand what's what. Horizontal line has a convenient shortcut. Press Alt plus H, Option plus H on Mac, and a horizontal line will appear at the level where the cursor currently is. For vertical line, Alt plus V, or Option plus V on Mac. These lines seem simple, but they're extremely important. Rectangle. The next useful tool is Rectangle. It allows you to highlight entire zones on the chart. Select it, then click to set one point, drag the cursor and make a second click. You get a filled rectangle like this. I use it to mark imbalance areas or fair value gap. This concept is from the smart money methodology. Simply put, it's a gap between candles when there was a strong one-sided price movement and an uncovered area remained between some candles. For example, here are 3 bullish candles. Between the minimum and the maximum of the second, a gap may form where there was no trading and price passed too quickly. Often, the market then returns to fill these gaps. Rectangles can, of course, also be used to simply highlight price ranges. For example, to highlight a range in which price traded for some time, that is, to mark a support or resistance zone, not with one line but with an area. I created color templates for rectangles for myself. For example, a green rectangle means a zone interesting for buying, red for selling. You can adjust transparency so the chart underneath is visible. Free drawing and text annotations. The brush allows you to draw arbitrary freehand lines. Select brush and while holding the button, draw as though using a highlighter. I also use text annotations. Click on the Text tool icon with the letter T. Then click on the chart. A text field will appear where you can type anything. For example, support zone or entry point. Text can be moved anywhere. Position tools and risk calculation. Now let's move on to tools related to trade planning, long position and short position. They're located here. Let's say you have found a point on a chart where you want to enter a long. Take the long position tool and click on the chart at the presumed entry point. A green and red rectangle will appear on the chart. The green part extends upward. This is the potential profit zone, to take profit. The red extends downward, the loss zone, to stop loss. you can drag the upper boundary of the rectangle higher to the level where you plan to take profit and the lower boundary to the presumed stop-loss level. Inside the rectangle, you'll see numbers, risk to reward ratio. For example, 3 means potential profit is 3 times the risk. Percentage to take profit and to stop, and possible profit to loss. Now double-click on this rectangle. Position settings will open. Account size, specify what capital you're operating with, for example, $10,000. Risk in percent or dollars, percentage of capital or fixed amount you're willing to lose. Let's say 1% or $100. There, you also set price levels for entry, stop loss, and take profit. They're already set when you drag the rectangle, but you can enter exact figures. For short positions, the short position tool is used. It works similarly, only the green zone will be downward and the red upward. Position calculation tools themselves don't execute anything on the exchange, they're just a visual helper. But with their help, you plan the trade and then manually or through a broker, you place orders knowing the exact numbers. Applying trend lines, rectangles, and position tools together already gets you a powerful set for finding entry points and risk control. Next, I'll show you a couple of more advanced analysis tools that I use. Elliott Wave Analysis. The next tool is Elliott Waves. In the Patterns tab, there are 2 things we need: Elliott Impulse Wave and Elliott Corrective Wave. Elliott Wave theory states that market movements form in waves. A trend movement consists of 5 waves. Wave 1, the first surge. Wave 2, pullback. Wave 3, trend continuation, often the most powerful. Wave 4, pullback again. Wave 5, the final push of the trend. Then follows a correction of 3 waves. A, first counter wave against the trend. B, pullback, correction of the correction itself. C, second strong counter wave. This is designated as 5-3 structure, 5 impulse waves, 3 correction waves. By using Elliott waves, you can estimate approximate targets for correction and entry. But the waves themselves are just a form, they need confirmation. This is where another powerful tool comes in: Fibonacci levels. Fibonacci numbers are special ratios that appear everywhere in nature. They help find pullback levels and trend continuation targets on the chart. TradingView has several tools, but here are the 2 main ones: Fibonacci retracement, which builds pullback levels between 2 points, and trend-based Fibonacci extension, which allows you to forecast trend development based on 3 points. Now, how do you use it in practice? Imagine price significantly rose from point A to point B. Now, a pullback has now started. Where will it stop? Take the needed fib retracement, click at point A, start of impulse, drag to point B, end of impulse. The 0.618 zone is considered the golden ratio, truly a magic number. Very often, correction ends at this level. If price consolidates around 0.618 and then starts reversing back with the trend, this is a great opportunity to enter a trade. Now, extension. Let's say the market has started a new trend. We want to understand target reference points, where, say, wave 3 or wave 5 by Elliott might go. For this, we use fib extension. After specifying 3 points, levels will appear. These levels are projections of the first wave's length. 1.618 is the classic target for wave 3 by Elliott theory, and 2.618 is an extended target sometimes reached by 5th waves if the trend is very strong. Now, an example of applying fib together with Elliott waves. After completing the 5th impulse wave, I expect a correction to point A, then a pullback to B, and continuation of correction to C. I use fib retracement from wave 5 to wave A to predict how far wave B will go, and then fib extension from A to B to forecast the length of wave C. And basically, using Elliott waves and Fibonacci tools like this, you can determine where the trend might reverse and what the target levels are. Managing drawn objects. When you have marked up the chart, applied trend lines, levels, shapes, text, sometimes there's too much of all this and it's difficult to manage. Here we remember that tab in the right panel. Click and a side window will open with a list of all objects that you have applied to the chart. How to work with it. You can hide or show individual objects. Next to each is an eye icon. Clicking on it hides that object without deleting it. You can lock individual objects, lock icon, then that object can't be accidentally moved. And the most useful, you can group objects into folders. Let's say you have made a markup for a specific trading idea or trade. So that it doesn't get in the way, click on the first object in the list, then while holding Shift, click on the last one. An entire range will be selected. Now click on the folder icon. The selected objects will be combined into a group which you can name whatever you want. The group also has an eye. One click will hide or show the entire group at once. You can hide all old markups at once to start new without deleting the old ones, or quickly switch between different scenarios. When the group is created, you can rename it, drag objects from one group to another, and so on. My approach is this. Each trade or analysis has its own folder. Do analysis, enter a trade, put all lines and notes in a folder and hide it. The chart is clean again. I can analyze a new situation. At any time, I can turn that folder back on and see how my idea worked out or analyze mistakes. If you no longer need old markings, you can quickly delete them. Select all objects using Shift and press Delete, and all drawings will be deleted at once. If you delete it by mistake, Ctrl+Z or Command+Z will bring them back as usual undo. Use this tab if you want to work without having your screen cluttered. Indicators, adding and customizing. Now let's move on to the technical indicators section. TradingView has a huge built-in library ranging from classic to custom scripts. To add one of them, click on the Indicators button at the top. A search window will open. There are two sections here. Built in, there are more than 100 standard indicators. And Community, thousands of custom indicators uploaded by other traders. You can find practically anything from advanced oscillators to indicators that draw figures on the chart. Let's say you want to add a simple indicator, for example, moving average. You find it in the list and just click on it. Now close the window. A colored line has appeared on the chart. When an indicator is added, its name appears in the top left above the chart itself. If you click on the text or the icon next to it, indicator settings will open. There you can change display parameters and more. Next to the name is an eye. It hides or shows the indicator. If you no longer need the indicator, click on this icon and it will be deleted. If you have several indicators, they may be located in a separate window below the chart. If you want to collapse it, click on these two arrows in the upper corner of its window. Clicking again will expand it back. You can drag indicators between windows. Just hold with the mouse and drag. If you want to create an alert based on an indicator condition, click on the three dots and add alert. In the window that appears, set the condition and launch it. TradingView will notify you when the condition is met. If you like some indicators, add them to favorites. This saves time so you don't have to search by name each time. Comparing multiple instruments on one chart. Another powerful TradingView feature is the ability to overlay several different instruments on one chart for comparison. This is useful, for example, to compare Bitcoin and Ethereum movement, or to look at a specific stock against the S&P 500 index. There's a Compare button on the top panel, plus icon next to the current ticker name. Click on it and a search bar will appear. Enter the ticker of what you want to display. A second line will appear on the current chart. In the top left corner, right where the indicators are, you'll see the second instrument in the list. Again, you can choose display settings. To remove what you're comparing, just click on this icon next to its name. Workflow organization. So, we have a customized chart, we know how to use tools and indicators. But how to organize your work if you trade many things and can't keep track of everything? Proper watch list organization will help with this. Let's return to the right side panel. The top icon there is the watch list. You can fully customize it to your needs. How to do this? First, Click on the plus sign at the top and add everything that interests you by name. Second, right-click on one of the tickers and then Add Section. Give it a name, then drag everything from that category there. Third, create as many sections as you need to quickly switch between them. You can also quickly switch between different instruments using the space key, kind of like flipping through. Demo trading. And now the cherry on top. TradingView provides a demo trading feature, a virtual account for practicing trading. Go to the trading panel and click Paper Trading. After connecting, you get an initial virtual balance and the ability to trade as on a real exchange. Make buy and sell trades, place limit or market orders, and apply leverage. All platform tools are available at the same time. You can set take profit and stop loss to practice risk management skills, and all trades are displayed on the chart and saved in account history. If needed, the demo account can be easily reset to its original state, allowing you to start over. This is a great way to master the platform and refine your strategy without risking your own money. And you can turn off this mode like this.